What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Monsters of the Gridiron. I'm Swift. Got my man Will right to the left of me, and we got special guests Kenneth Davis and Alex Shapiro from NBC Under the Center podcast. Ken, I'll let you go ahead and start off. Say hi, welcome yourself to the viewers, and tell people where they can find you as well.
Thank you for letting me come on you guys' show. Shout out to Swifty and Will. Thanks, Alex, our beat reporter for the Bears, for joining us. He writes everything at NBC Sports. All right, all the sports there, my guy. Everybody can find me at That's Davis. You can also check me out on the Under Center podcast. You can get it wherever you get your podcast, but you can watch it on television on NBC Sports in the evening time, but particularly Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Jokes.
All right, and then my bad. Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I got to give props again to you two. Thanks for having us. And got to give props to my fearless leader, Kenneth Davis. He's the host. He's the leader. He makes everything happen on Under Center. Without Kenneth Davis, there's no Under Center podcast. Nah, dude, you are. You're the fuck. You're the.
He's my friend. He's my friend. Everyone. He's my.
You're the rudder. You're the rudder of the ship. The rudder of the ship. My Twitter handle's right there. Alex Shapiro, NBCS, Under Center podcast, NBCSportsChicago.com. That's where we're at.
And Will, always bringing energy to the show, man. Nice to have you. I know you wanted to start out. I think you had a question for Ken already ready to go if you want to kick it off.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Do we have that clip ready, Swift?
We had a clip. You want to play a clip? Okay.
Yeah, I want to play a clip. This quick clip, and then I want Ken to give me a little insight on this clip.
Who are still going with the Bears aren't trading Justin Fields, which that camp doubles down off of everything. And it's the best fan fiction that you can read. All right, this side of the Mississippi, basically. It's like, oh, did you see when Ryan Post double winked? Clearly, Justin isn't going anywhere. It's like, wow, like just let it go.
Minutes later,
I was reading an article that said basically at the end of Caleb's presser, I think the question was asked to him, did the Bears basically promise that they would draft you? And he either smiled or winked or something to that fashion. Did that take place?
That did take place, yeah.
That's not the same shit.
We come on here and they got receipts.
Hold up.
I told him if we wanted to show that, we'd show you guys before this show and then do it. And then he
Let's bring it back.
Look, I want Ken to explain that before we even talk about any other Bear businesses. Like, seriously.
I'll explain it. The first part was excellently funny. It's shit.
It was.
The second part, but look, this is a thing. I said fiction, right? I said fan fiction. What happened with the Caleb thing, one, was it happened, but that's not even important. This is a thing, too, to know. I think sometimes when we're doing this, we don't know what people's jobs are. If I didn't mention it as far as what actually took place, I really wouldn't be doing my job. So I was talking about something that happened that was reported, not something someone made up and even when I said it, I was sitting there just pointing out what other people, the context they put it. I did not see it. I was talking about what I read. All right. So that's what I was doing there to honestly answer your question about, as far as getting back to Alex says, is my job as the driver of the show. That's what I was doing at that point. So,
because I'm going to be honest.
You look gotcha? No.
Ken,
I'm joking.
I'm going to be honest. It's only a few right now in that market that I truly trust when it comes to information, whether it's pertaining to Justin and Caleb, whether it's pertaining to the direction of the franchise. So I'm like, you know what? Let me have Ken explain this, because, see, I'm not one to assume and or speculate, because after you hear so much information or misinformation, it's like you now we got to start trying to figure out what, like you said, what's fiction and what's a fact. And honestly, you do a great job. Alex does a great job, but it's so many right now that journalism, there's no integrity. Let's just be honest. Let's call it for what it's worth. So when people say I got sources, like realistically, I got sources too, as you know, Ken, but I don't go out publicly and be like, well, this is what I'm hearing, or this is what's going to happen. But we're hearing so much of that, and I think that is causing the bigger divide when people are saying the Justin fans and the Caleb fans. Like, we're all Bear fans at the end of the day, and we're trying to realistically, logically look at this thing from the macro level of what it's going to take to build an organization that year in, year out, Swift, Ken, Alex, guess what? In January, we got some free football. Like at the end of the day, that's what I'm looking at, because honestly, whether it's Caleb or whether it's Justin, either way, I'm going to support the franchise. Now, at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer as an executive. I would go with Justin because of the intangible leadership. I feel we now have a coaching staff that we haven't had in place in 3 years. And I like to put everything in context to finally develop this young man and help him elevate his skill set to a high level. And we can play devil's advocate and say, well, if I'm in year 3 as the GM, do I want to risk my job and miss out on a potential talent like Caleb Williams, who everyone under the sun has deemed as the next Patrick Mahomes? I think that's a lot of pressure to put on that young man, because a lot of the quarterbacks in the past that were not necessarily deemed generational, they fell very short of the bar. The Trey Lances, the Sam Darnolds.
Like, they weren't generational. They weren't generational. Like Sam they weren't. Let me down. Look, you was
Trey Lance was the third quarterback off the, or no, he was the second quarterback off. No, he was the third quarterback off the board. We're talking about a dude who was the third quarterback taken off the board.
So well. First of all, this one. Okay, let me. I got 2 things real quick. So keep that. Said the generational part. I want to go back to the journalism part. All right. So me personally, I'm a host, and I try to stick to the guidelines of journalism, sometimes in jest, because now since we're on television, but in general being a podcast, my job is also to be the fan and entertain. That's what my job is on what we do. So I want to just point out what Alex and myself do. All right. We on the Undersitter podcast, usually we don't really do hot takes and just say stuff for clicks. That's what I really want to get to. We really don't say things for clicks. That ain't not really the angle where we're going. Either we're joking and we just feel something, or actually we're talking something out and it's like, whoa, do you think that? No, I don't. Alex may say something crazy. I may say something crazy. Then we kind of suss it out to see, like, wait, does this make sense? Those things may take place. But one thing you did say, and I totally agree with, people for some reason are being extremely divisive. I would say for no reason, but the reason is for attention. And that's why it's kind of like there's really no point. But I add this. I think we should look at this and look at the tenor of what's really going on in the world. And a lot of times in the real world, people only want to hear what the hell they want to hear. And we ask ourselves, why is that person acting like that? And why don't they see what we deem as common sense, what's going on? And this is a microcosm right here where, as Swifty said, we're in a great, somebody in the chat, we're in a great position. I don't care for the people who, and I get on them, who have totally fled from Justin Fields. You just said y'all were talking and kissing Justin before last season. All right. I'm not going to say Justin doesn't have warts. I'm not going to say at this point, I don't understand why Brian Post could move off of Justin. I get I've said the sensical manner. I've pleaded that case. But if Justin was here, I wouldn't be upset whatsoever. So to me, and I say this on both sides, I just don't get the angry tenor of it, to where some people are like, F Justin 9, this. You can want a new quarterback and say, I'm ready for Caleb Williams. You don't have to throw Justin in the mud and stomp on his ass. And that's it. And the flip side, I think you can look at it and be honest. One, and I've always led with this, the context. Justin, and I've said this, they draft Caleb. And some people will be like, man, look at Justin's first couple of years, look at Caleb's. They weren't the same team. Caleb already is going to have a better team if he's drafted in the year than Justin ever had as a Bear, and Justin was going through a rebuild. I'm just going to keep the context, and that's what our job here. When people are saying something crazy, like, hold on, son. think about the context of it or whatever, because I hear you, but that's for people just paying attention and getting a little microwave minute. Now, to your generational part, I'll say this, and Caleb Williams could fall on his fucking face. But when we're actually using, and if anybody has a problem with Caleb Williams being dubbed generational, I have no problem with that. That's not what I'm here to argue about that. But I'm saying with the guys that have been labeled that, tell me the last one, and I mean in recent history of our modern NFL, so let's just say the last 20 years. When's the last one that was a bust? And I'm talking about
Jameis
Winston. No, not Jameis. Jameis was not generational. I'm talking about
Jameis was generational.
Let me finish Swifty. No, he wasn't. Andrew Luck. All right. We're talking about and he right now he doesn't look like it, but he's not a bust. Trevor Lawrence was given a generational. We're talking about
Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow.
But
Joe Burrow was a one-year wonder, pretty much.
That's what I was just about to say. But
Jameis was much higher regarded than Joe Burrow was.
Okay, but if Jameis was much higher regarded, why was Marcus Mariota drafted before him?
He wasn't. Jameis went number 1. Marcus Mariota went number 2. I'm a draft guy. Like,
okay, if I'm wrong, I'll take
Google
it
but right now. Just
Google it. And I think you're right. I think Tampa did have the first pick, so I'm wrong in that one. But the point that I'm making is,
Marcus Mariota went second in 2015 to the Titans.
Thank you for the correction, Swifty. The point that I'm making, I was a Jameis guy. We didn't think Jameis was what these guys were. Even at Florida State that last year he was there. Swifty, let me just finish. The last year he was at Florida State, and you can say the same about the last year with Caleb, but still the numbers, everything, the pedigree, that was not what Jameis was. Jameis was nice, but Jameis didn't have that. I'm only pointing that out to point out that there's less bust factor. That's really what I'm getting to with Caleb. I think there's less bust factor with his pedigree, but that doesn't mean he's going to be great or anything. I don't know. I have an inkling, you know what I'm saying? But none of us know. And I can flip that. I'll flip that too. None of us know if Justin will take the greatest step. I think Justin will continue to make steps. Now, we can all hope and say, man, we have to say from what we've seen so far, could there be a chance, the same way I'm talking about Caleb, could there be a chance that, I don't think we're at Justin's ceiling now, but could there be a chance that we're 75% there? There could be, for all we know. There actually could be. And it's not about what I hope. It's not about what I like. I'm going off what I've seen so far, and I'm trying to sit there and make an educated decision off of it. But to me, it's just people being bored and people being angry. And I think people are using this debate for their anger issues. That's the last thing I want to say.
Alex, what you got to say on that?
I think a lot of the vitriol and some of the big time standing of Justin Fields comes from the fact that no living person in Chicago has ever seen a really good quarterback. And that's just a fact.
Correct.
I think, when you look at it, and the league is telling you what it thinks about Justin Fields, which is, we don't think Justin Fields is a starter. And when you talk to people not in Chicago, they seem to be shocked that there is any debate between Justin Fields and Caleb Williams. It's like, what do you mean? There's no debate. It's Caleb Williams. But I think here in Chicago, again, a city who has never seen a good quarterback, the closest thing was Jay Cutler, who had a great arm, but just wasn't the guy. Like, when he's the closest thing to a good quarterback anybody has ever seen. And then Justin Fields comes along and he makes incredible plays. The things he does when he is special, he does things that no other quarterback in the NFL can do. And I think that's a fact. There are throws that he makes that are like, whoa. There are runs that he will pull off that are like, whoa, right? And that type of play, again, like I said, has never been seen here before. So I think people see that and they get obviously attached to that. They say, wow, this guy is the real deal. But if this was a franchise that had maybe had a Donovan McNabb or a Dante Culpepper or a Matt Ryan, or dare I say a Kirk Cousins, and I know Bears fans watch Kirk Cousins twice a year, but like watching Kirk Cousins put up 4,000 to damn near 5,000 yard seasons practically every year, I wonder if a fan base that had seen quarterback play like that consistently, I wonder if there would be that same reaction to what Justin Fields can do, because what Justin Fields can do when he is on is incredible. But we've said it over and over again. Like, he's got to consistently do the little things right. And we have still yet to see him do the little things right. I mean, he improved with his short game accuracy, and that was a step forward that he took in 2023. But he needed to take more steps forward. We still haven't seen him throw the ball with anticipation consistently. We still see him at times turn down open receivers for whatever reason. So, yeah, is he progressing? Have we seen him take steps from 2021 through 2023? 100%. Is there a way for you to build an offense where you can win with Justin Fields? Yes, I also believe that. But to say that he is like for sure going to be this superstar, I still don't know. And then when you look at Caleb Williams, who again is, I'm no QB scout, but as a USC fan, and I'm going to throw that out there, I might have some USC bias, but I watched every single Caleb Williams game at USC. I mean, there's almost nothing wrong with that guy's game. And then when you hear the overwhelming consensus that he is that guy, like he's the dude since Andrew Luck, and then you think about Ryan Pohl's situation, I just can't see how you can turn that down for a dude who you didn't draft, a dude who has grown, but has also shown warts. Think about what Matt Eberflus said at the combine. This is what really sealed the deal for me in terms of is Caleb, or really any rookie quarterback, I'm going to say Caleb or any rookie quarterback, going to be the dude compared to Justin Fields. Matt Eberflus says we're looking for a quarterback who is going to be great in these clutch moments, who is going to be really solid situationally in 2-minute drills, on third downs, things of that nature. So I went back and I'm like, okay, how is Justin Fields on third downs? Solid. I believe he completed, and this is off the top of my head, I looked it up a long time ago, it was the combine. Something like 40%, maybe a little over 40%, right in the middle of the road. Not bad. Then you look at the 2-minute drill, and it's just not good. Again, these numbers are kind of off the top of my head, but I want to say the Bears over the past 2 years, or maybe no, last season with Fields had something like 23 2-minute drill opportunities to score points, and they only scored points in 4 of them. And something like 7 of his 9 total interceptions came in those moments. So I'm just like, man, they're telling you that the things that they are looking for are not the things that Justin Fields has been able to do. So that's, again, as Kenneth was saying, this is us just kind of like reading the tea leaves, taking the information that we hear, parsing through it and trying to make sense of it. And those are the things to me that say, like, yeah, could Justin Fields be a good quarterback somewhere? I do still believe that. Like I said, I do believe there's a way to build an offense around him. I just don't believe it's going to be with the Chicago Bears.
I want to get to the point real quick about Jameis Winston. I believed he was generational. Everything I heard back when I was watching that draft, Mel Kiper and everybody was talking like he was generational. But the difference with Caleb Williams, when you mention those generational guys you talk about, even going back to like Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, Trevor Lawrence, what do they all have in common? They're all 6'5". They're all 220 pounds. They all operated an NFL-style offense in college and worked under center. Things that Caleb Williams, none of those things. It's not saying like, hey, this guy can't be generational, but you have to kind of agree that Caleb doesn't check any of the boxes that the other generational quarterbacks did. He's not the same size. He doesn't have the same pedigree. He has a lot more fumbles. He never won anything in college. Peyton Manning won. A lot of these guys won. Jameis Winston won. There's a lot of things that a lot of these guys
What did Peyton win, Swifty?
He won some games. I mean, they didn't win a championship, but he beat SEC teams. He beat Alabama. I mean, come on.
Hold on. Wait, I'm the Bama guy. That was not Alabama, my guy. All right.
Okay.
If Saban wasn't there or Bear Bryant wasn't there, please don't run that out. I will leave and be quiet. I will be quiet.
Let's check.
Caleb Williams also didn't get to play linebacker. I mean,
6'5",
USC had the best offense in college football, and they also had the worst defense in college football.
But he also
had
had the most
every drive they were
fumbles
going
in
to
the
win.
entire nation. He had the most fumbles in the nation. None of those other guys did anything like that.
The fumbles
But
did
they
crop
didn't
up.
have
That's real.
they didn't
The
have the
fumbles cropped
offense.
up in 2023. That's real.
they didn't have the offense. I don't even want to like cape for him. The thing is this. Let me to your point. This isn't us saying this, Swifty. Like when you're talking this is national evaluators. This isn't a Chicago.
I haven't heard a single scout ever call him generational. I've heard people on TV, maybe former quarterbacks or a guy on ESPN. If you can find me a scout or someone who was a scout in the NFL that says he was generational, I'll take it. But I haven't seen that. I will say he's the best quarterback in this draft. I've said that myself. Best quarterback in the last 3 years.
We've heard it.
Okay.
We've heard it. And again, but I'll say this, it doesn't matter. He could be a bust. Like this, the thing is, and there's nothing wrong with us having this debate. I wish the best. At one point during this year, and now you can ask Alex this. And Alex basically was riding with Alex. First of all, is an SC alum. He's talking about he's an SC fan. He's an SC alum. Last season, Alex was the first person around me talking Caleb Williams. All right. And you know, we used to tell him, shut up. We don't want to hear that. All right. And then this year, Josh and I, full disclosure, was kind of like, that Caleb Williams, guess who was basically like to us, shut up? Alex. Right. There were points where I said this year, prior to Justin getting hurt, I'm like, yo, all I want from all this shit that Justin's going through is him to prove Chicago's mine. Nobody's been through what I've been through and still knocking it down here, and he still could do it. There's still a chance because he's on the roster, right? Like I can tell you what I think is going to happen, but in telling what I think is going to happen, I still have to talk about what is actually taking place. He's still on the roster. The draft has not taken place, so we all don't exactly know what may happen. All right,
yeah.
But the thing still is this: the injury for me. It was where I knew. And it wasn't where I was like, oh, F Justin. I was like, the Bears aren't going to keep him, right? Like, that's where, for me, it was like, Justin doesn't have enough time to build the case. If Justin had enough time to build a real case to where what Bears fans and even the locker room, would you try, could stand on it, then I would believe how it could tear something down. But because of, one, how they built the team, how they tore the team around him down initially, right? Because it took them to give him a reputable offensive weapon until last year. You had an offensive coordinator who couldn't necessarily sync up the run in the pass game, all right? It had terrible situational play calling. Regardless of who was under center, there was too many times where you put a quarterback in third and long in situations where the offense was functioning properly. Why the hell are we in third and long now? And it's in the second half of the damn game. Like, what? Why are you doing this, right? And all of that, Justin was set up. And then still Justin not seeing guys open. And Justin not throwing guys open, right? That's a thing, right? But it's not that it can never happen. Justin can never become that player. He honestly could. But if we're talking about as of right now, those are the things that, in my thoughts, like, man, this is going to hamstring him from Ryan Poles moving off of him properly, right? And then to add to that Ryan Poles didn't draft him. And I don't necessarily think not drafting somebody means you should just get rid of them. I think not drafting somebody and having Caleb Williams and Swifty to even go along with you're talking about generation, let's just call it the hype, right? Caleb Williams and the hype. Because the hype basically damn near cleanses Ryan Poles of any mistake. Because the context will be, man, you heard what people talking about Caleb. That's what the context will be. Now, I'm going to tell you this, and I'm just thinking this while I'm saying it. The Justin context will be the whole league didn't want him. And I'm not saying that that's true facts, because getting to your point, Will, if I'm a deal maker and I know you have a depreciating asset, I'm not paying you a premium for it. I'm not a deal maker if I do that. And I'm not going to go around telling people they got a premium. I'm going to be like, yeah, they do got a depreciating asset until I can get my hands on it for the cheap. So, but the point that I'm making is in the future, the context, because you see nationally, people are taking a victory lap like, did we tell y'all won't go get that number for Justin? And you know, the person that was been saying this for 2.5 months is the other third part of missing of under center. Josh Schrock, who came from us from the Bay, that was there when they drafted Trey Lance, the 49ers, and they still had Jimmy Garoppolo. And the whole league, everybody was like, y'all better trade Jimmy. You better trade Jimmy. And they drafted Trey Lance, and the whole league was like, And that's what happens. And that's what the Bears find themselves in right now. And we'll find out moving forward what necessarily is going to happen. But again, and this gets all the way back to Swifty's initial point, this is a great place to be in. Like, it's not the only bad place about this is what happened if both one of them sucks and he's with us. That's really the thing, right? What if we pick the bad one? What if both of them are good? But what if we got the one that's either not as good or is whack? Is the real, but we've never had our chance on 2 lottery tickets. We've been talking about scrubs as our quarterback. I'm talking about, man, should we put P.T. Willis in here right now? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm like. Just think about some of the guys that we've had. Dave Craig, like just the guys that we've had. Moses Moreno. I could just keep going.
Mike Glennon doesn't do it for you.
Chad Hutchinson, Jonathan Quinn. We could go all day on
I'm
those
talking
guys.
about I'm going backups first because just looking at that's what I was going, guys. I'm sorry, I didn't say it. I was going with back because you got the reason I was doing that because in Chicago we've always fussed over put the backup in.
The backup quarterback's the most popular guy in Chicago.
Exactly, the backup was shit too, right? And it's always been the backup in, put the backup in, but unless it was Cal Orton. But still,
the problem is, I mean, you made the great point. I mean, we're in such a great position, but we know how bad GMs are in general, the lack of success that they have evaluating quarterback talent. So no matter how great they say a quarterback is, there's no guarantee that his success is going to translate into the NFL. And when it comes to Caleb, when I say he's not generational in that vein, I'm not trying to take anything from him. I love him. He's my number 2 prospect in this draft, and I've went back and watched every game, 3 years of his film, even his year at Oklahoma. But he doesn't have the height. He's not 6'5" like all those other guys. He's never played under center. Let me make my point now. Whereas what he does have is a lot of things that look like Patrick Mahomes and Kyler Murray. So that leads to this is a recency bias in the NFL. Whereas if Caleb would have came out 10 years ago, would he be viewed as generational? Because back then we weren't looking for things like that. Now the NFL is changing. Patrick Mahomes just won 3 Super Bowls. And instead of GMs looking for the next Tom Brady that they never found for 30 years, GMs and scouts looked for the next Tom Brady. And he was something that nobody was looking for. But now the recency bias is causing these guys to make Caleb Williams be the next Patrick Mahomes. And that's an impossible stature to live up to. I think it's just people are just jumping on this bandwagon that, yeah, everybody says he's great, so he's going to be great. But if he's not, that's going to break us. And that's a huge gamble for Ryan Poles, where if he can sell that dream to another team and get 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and change the future of this franchise for the next 10 to 15 years, I think it's ridiculous that people aren't saying he's at least keeping an open mind about that, because there has to be that possibility. There's so many different, this is the biggest decision in Chicago Bears history. It's not as simple as, oh, you know what? I'm Ryan Poles, and all those guys out there are telling me Caleb's great, so I'm just going to believe him. He's doing his due diligence, and he has questions about Caleb. It would be ridiculous if he didn't. So I think as fans, like Ken said, we're in a beautiful position. Let's not fight about it. Let's not sit back and go, it should be Caleb. It should be Justin. Oh, Caleb paints his nails. Oh, Justin sucks. Look at his win-loss record. Look, guys, we're Bears fans, and things are about to be great. Even if, think about it, if it's Justin Fields, that means we're probably pairing him with Marvin Harrison Jr. or Rome Odunze and some extra picks. If it's Caleb Williams, that means Ryan Poles, and I trust him. That means Ryan Poles did all of that due diligence, and he believes that Caleb is that guy. And if we get that quarterback in Chicago, we should all go buy jerseys and be happy. Doesn't matter how much we love Justin Fields or how much we thought he could have been great in the right situation. We're Bears fans. We all want to win. And I just think there's too much division. It's an open mind, and I think I don't think it's done yet. I think too many people are just saying it's done, and that's my point. That's all I got to say.
Can I get
Hey,
you
Ken,
some-
hey, Ken.
Wait, let me just say one thing, because
Go
Swifty
ahead.
is slick, and I mean this is
Go ahead.
Swifty. I've told you before, I'm a fan. This is our second meeting. You are nice, all right. You are nice with yours, all right. I just want to say this. The recency bias thing, the slickness of it, and you're correct. But see, the context, there was a player who actually in stature is extremely similar to Caleb Williams, and actually he's been Caleb Williams' favorite quarterback. And actually, he actually owns the team that we are talking about. His name is Aaron Rodgers, and he's not 6'4", 6'5".
Same
and
size.
He does the same type of off script type shit. I just want to point that out.
I compared him to Aaron Rodgers. I was one of the first ones to
But
do it.
you didn't do it there. You didn't do it there.
Well, but that's because we were talking about generational. Rodgers wasn't.
But no, I'm talking about the
generational,
recency bias. I'm talking about, and again, I'm pointing out because Swifty, I don't know where you're going, but you better make it because you nice with yours. I like you. I like it. I want to pull it, Swifty, because a lot of people don't catch it when you pull it like that. I want to pull it too, Swifty. That was a good one. I'm out. I'm out, guys. Y'all talk. I'll be quiet.
But hey, think about this, and I'm gonna let you go, Alex. I'm thinking from an executive perspective at this point. No one's thinking about you decline the 5th-year option on Justin. We trade the pick. Justin doesn't perform, even though we're getting premium picks. We build this team out on both sides. And then next year, we got 2 first-round picks. There's a guy coming out of Colorado that I like very well that I think would be a great fit.
Shedeur Sanders?
Absolutely. Who trained with Tom Brady. He would be a great fit for Shane Waldron's offense. Why not take these picks and build out this offense with young premium talent? Because guess what? We still need an edge. We still need a 3 technique to complement Gavon Dexter. We still need some interior offensive linemen. We need a wide receiver 2 and 3, which I'm anticipating us probably drafting 2 wide receivers out of this year's class. But right now, if we take Caleb, that leaves us with 4 picks. And Swift made a good point on this. If we're going to trade down, the only other pick between 9 and 75 that we can trade down and get some premium picks would be what? Number 9. And by that time, a lot of the target areas that we need for a premium player to come in, those guys would be gone.
I kind of disagree with that, to be honest. I disagree with a few things, but we're going to go through that. I think at 9, if the Bears do trade down from 9, first of all, I'm not certain they do trade down at 9 because let's look at what the Falcons just did. They got their QB. Did they make a move for a wide receiver?
Yeah, they got Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, they got Darnell Mooney,
so they got a 2. So they could still be in. They got Drake London. They got Darnell Mooney. I'm not so, maybe they get a wide receiver, maybe they don't, but probably not. Tennessee Titans go out and get Calvin Ridley. So these are teams picking ahead of the Bears, where now you're looking at, are they going to take a QB? Are they going to move back for one of these QB needy teams behind the Bears, a team that loves JJ McCarthy, a team that loves Bo Nix? Are they moving into that slot? And now is this going to push one of those wide receivers back? So I'm not so sure now, based on how free agency has gone, that, that one of those guys won't be there, just based on how the last couple days have gone. And then if they are all gone, I think you can move back out of 9 and you can probably get a middling first round pick, and you could probably add a 2 and maybe a 3, or I don't know, I forget what the trade was, but there was a move where a team moved up a handful of spots, and I think they got 2 2s. Again, this is off the top of my head. I would have to look it up. I wish we had Eric Strobel. Shout out to one of our OG Under Center podcasts. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But let's say they move back a few slots. Now you're talking about getting an edge rusher and a wide receiver, so you're starting to plug some holes. So you can do that. I think you can accomplish those goals and also get Caleb Williams. I also kind of disagree with this. Going after Caleb Williams is going after the next Patrick Mahomes thing. I think people see the creativity. That's the one thing, the one word we hear over and over again. And they make that leap to Patrick Mahomes. But I see Caleb Williams do a whole lot beyond just the off schedule, off script. Like, that's the one thing people always talk about. The off schedule, off script, play breaks down.
he's going to throw a crazy perfect deep ball. It's going to be great. Or he's going to scramble. It's going to be wonderful. I see him make plays on time in the rhythm of the offense. I see him throw balls with anticipation. Like, I see him do all that stuff. You brought up the fumbles. That's probably the one little chink in his armor. Otherwise, like, that guy makes every throw. He makes them off schedule. He makes them on schedule. The size just doesn't matter to me. I've never been that guy. Like, I know some people are ride or die with Raz. Some people are ride or die with wingspan. We know the Bears love arm length in terms of their linemen. Like, that's real. That's not me. That is simply not me. I look at the guy and I'm like, is that a football player? Is he making football plays? I'm not a very sophisticated scout. And I just see Caleb Williams make all the plays. So I don't know that he is just, Kenneth likes to call Patrick Mahomes baby goat. I don't know that he's baby Mahomes. I don't draw that one-to-one comparison like other people do. And those were the two things. And I really do think that they can trade back and pick up some extra picks. And here's the other thing. Okay, now let's talk about Caleb Williams versus the haul from moving out of the first spot, right? I mean, yes, if they move out of that one hole, they will get a ton of picks. But all those picks only go so far. And you want to talk about recency bias? Here's something I've learned. If you don't have the quarterback, you're probably not going to win the Super Bowl. You need that guy. We just saw it. We literally just saw it this Super Bowl. The 49ers were an unbelievably elite team front to back. Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. Chase Young, I know he was bad. He was pretty solid in the Super Bowl. I could go on and on and on and on and on and on. That team was loaded.
But you're doing it right there. They didn't have who? Who didn't they have? Because that's not who we're drafting. We're not drafting.
They didn't have the quarterback. They didn't have the quarterback. They had Brock Purdy. They had Brock Purdy, who wasn't bad. He was bad. He was okay.
But
he was okay.
Hey, Alex, let's be honest. A lot of that loss is on the head coach. Because if they would have kept running with McCaffrey, I'm just saying, they had the momentum. Because I'm the first one when everybody goes
with the Ravens.
Exactly.
And I'm Baby Ghost's biggest fan.
Come on,
y'all gave us that
but
Super
the
Bowl,
quarterback makes you do that. The quarterback is so good. The quarterback is so good in Kansas City.
It makes him
he
nervous.
makes you afraid. He makes you nervous.
And guess what those other teams had? He beat the Bills. They got Josh Allen. He beat the Ravens. They have Lamar Jackson. It's not, you guys make it just about the quarterback when a guy loses to Mahomes. Everybody in the NFL loses to Mahomes. And you can't say that, hey, it's that quarterback. So that's what we're doing here. We're taking that. We're not taking that quarterback. We're not taking Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams has just as good of a chance of being great in the NFL as Justin Fields does. Like, you're taking a chance with every rookie. Every rookie, if you look back in the history, there's not a great success rate. You're throwing a dart. It's a gamble. No matter how great they are coming out. Even Trevor Lawrence, he hasn't done that much. He hasn't done anything special yet. He's looked like a below average starter in the NFL. If you put his stats up next to Mac Jones, look at his stats. They got him all over Twitter. Look at the stats of his comparison to Mac Jones.
I know you're not watching Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones and telling me those two guys are the same. I know you're not telling me that.
I didn't say that.
I know you're not telling me.
Done in the NFL.
Wait, we're getting a Libra edit before we get on here.
Wait.
And guess what, Ken, Alex? We got another 10. We got another last place schedule. Let's not even talk about Patrick Mahomes. Let's talk about the NFC. At the end of the day, right now, I would say right now where we are, we will be one of the top 7 teams to make the playoffs in the NFC. Why? The Lions, we owned them for 56 minutes out of 60 minutes last year. Minnesota, they don't have – look, Kirk Cousins is gone. Green Bay, Aaron Jones is now in Minnesota. Who killed us against Green Bay the last couple of years? It's been the Aaron Jones show. Okay, they got Josh Jacobs, but I fear Aaron Jones because of his versatility in that Green Bay's offense more than I fear Josh Jacobs. And then when you look at the rest of the NFC, at the end of the day, the 49ers, they taking hits. Philadelphia, okay, they got Saquon Barkley, but they're beatable because their defense is in shambles. The Cowboys, hey, Dak Prescott, love him to death, but when it comes time to perform at a high level, we know what we get. So at the end of the day, the NFC South, okay, they got Kirk Cousins in Atlanta, but the Saints, trash. Tampa Bay, I'm not sold on, and that's my fella Boomer Sooner, Baker Mayfield. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at now how we compare, and we're not even done, whether it be with free agency, whether it be if we draft, hypothetically, if we draft Caleb, I feel comfortable that this current coaching staff can get him prepared to at least be a better version of Kyler Murray at a minimum, to play on script, to play under center. So, but if we got Justin and they work out those kinks with the patting the ball, the anticipation, the footwork. When you said earlier, Kenneth, about him not throwing the wide open wide receivers, you got as a wide receiver and a quarterback, that's on Luke Gessie with the route concepts. And unfortunately, our wide receivers last year outside of DJ Moore, go look at I watched all games intensively. Look at the failure to separate in man-to-man.
Well, I think you made a great point.
Open, when they were open, a lot of times, either it was a breakdown or Justin was overthinking.
I'm gonna let that dude right there talk about the wide receiver stuff. He's there. Go ahead. Let's let it ride. Bring that Tyke Tolbert fire down as far as wide receivers being open and everything. Like, if you want to, or if not, I'm sorry. Maybe I shouldn't lead with.
I don't know that I'm putting Justin Fields not throwing to open wide receivers on Luke Gessie. Let's just put it at that. I think when a wide receiver is open, he's open and you throw it to him. I don't know what Luke Gessie has to do with that.
Well,
I think the point he was. I think what we're doing now is Luke Gessie, obviously not a big fan of, but the point he made there that I liked is when it comes to Caleb Williams, he's going to be in a better position than Justin Fields was, and I think that's part of a problem that some of the fans have here. Fans in Chicago are loyal. You still have people who love David Montgomery because he was such a great guy and such a hard worker here, and they're going to be Monty fans for life. I mean, this is a loyal city and a loyal fan base, and Justin Fields is our quarterback right now. He's the guy on the roster. Caleb Williams isn't. The moment Caleb's drafted, that changes, and I think fans will look at it differently. But I think they don't think Justin got a fair shot, and that's true.
That's
and
reality.
I think we all agree with that. But life isn't fair. But if Caleb Williams gets drafted today, or next month, he's in a much better position. But I will disagree with the number 9 pick. I think we have to trade down if we take Caleb. I know this is something a lot of people think one of those receivers. I don't see either of those. Rome Odunze is my guy. I think Marv goes 4 if it goes 3 QBs, and Rome's going to go within the next 2 picks. If the Giants don't take him, the Titans will. Even though they signed Calvin Ridley and Rome Odunze, that's beautiful.
Talk that talk, Swifty. Keep talking that talk.
So, but then also, I mean, at number 9, we don't pick again till 75. So if we don't trade out at number 1, we don't pick from 9 to 75. We got to trade down right there. And like you said, it's a hot spot. Not only are there 9 really top offensive players in this draft, but you're also could be the first defensive player taken right there. Who wants to come get Liatu Latu or Jared Verse or Dallas Turner? Whoever's your number 1 top defensive guy, best defensive player in the draft, come get him. And as far as value, I think if we go down 4 or 5 picks, we should be able to get a second rounder. If we go down more than that, we can get more. I mean, it's a premium year, especially if it's a trade up for a quarterback. So I think we have to trade down there.
Ndunze is you speak my language. It's Ndunze a move off a 9 in my heart. All right. I look, and Malik Neighbors, let's just say hypothetically, Neighbors is there. The same the analogy that him and DJ Moore are exact same person. It's not totally true. You know what I'm saying? I think some things they are definitely similar, but I do think there's differences within them. And also in this NFL, even though and when you were on Football Night in Chicago with me earlier, Will, and I was asking about larger receivers, I prefer that. That was actually my question. The other stuff was Joe's. That was my question. All right. But I prefer that as far as having different sizes. But you don't need it when you look at Miami with Waddle and Hill, and that's why I was mentioning that to you then. But for me, and everything you said, Swifty, is what I'm on with right now. First, look, the whole thought of, well, maybe you can finally get back in the second round with Justin is gone as of today, right now. Unless you talking about next year, basically this draft right here. Because no quarterback's gonna get hurt before the draft, probably, unless somebody's slipping on something, trying to take out the trash or something. But nope.
Anybody going on ATV rides?
Right. Unless somebody's gonna go moped and hurt themselves, you're not gonna end up getting that value. So you're not getting the second round pick that we were hoping for if Justin was moved. So for me, going on what Swifty was saying and talking about you're not picking again until the 70s with a receiver draft, if you can't get the second best receiver, in my opinion, in Odunze, who may have a career close to, if not on par with Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm moving out of that. He's the only guy really that I'm locked in for. I will say this though. I wouldn't be mad, and Swifty, you can get on me for this. If, for instance, Joe Hart was there and people like, we got Braxton. I'm not hating on Braxton, but I see that big ass 6'8" Golden Domer. I'm gonna look at those bookends on right and all for whoever's under center and be like, you know what? We didn't get there, but I know he's gonna be standing his ass up for the most part if they can finish fixing this interior of this line. But I'm with you primarily. I'm going to go on Doomsday and move back because they got to recoup some more assets to fill out the rest of this roster. You look right now at free agency with some of the holes that they have. I like the depth, but if you're talking about Bates is going to be a starter, which I think a lot of us would prefer for him to be a depth guy, who's going to be behind him? Because you're still going to need a guard and a center to be behind him. So those are just, and also the trenches. So when you're talking about you let Justin Jones walk, and I'm not saying you should have spent that money on Justin Jones. I would prefer for him to stay here on a lesser contract because we saw with Montez Sweat here that he did play better and you got more production out of him. I'm not saying he's a world beater, but on waiting for Dexter to grow, you had a serviceable guy there already. That's what I'm looking at. And then if my thought was they were going to go with another edge rusher on the opposite side of Justin Jones, and those three, Jones, Sweat, and whoever the edge rushers were going to be able to create enough pressure to allow this great defensive backfield and now that nice linebacker core to perhaps turn the ball over. That's kind of how I thought things were going to go, but looking at free agency now and how it's falling out, we may not be able to get all of those assets. And then the fact that we only have 5 draft picks right now, who know it's like, and those players may not fall that you hope are falling. So those are just some of the thoughts that I have right now, in my opinion, as far as free agency.
And you can go ahead, Swift.
I think he said it real quick. I think 2 points there. First, with Ryan Bates, I think you nailed it. A lot of people are saying he's going to be our starting center. I don't see it. We have Nate Davis on one side, Tevin Jenkins on both sides. Both missed over 6 games last year. Right yep. Nate Davis or Ryan Bates is a backup guard. He's the guy who's going to come in when one of those guys gets hurt. And also Nate Davis, if he doesn't perform better than he did last year, he was much better in Tennessee, but he was down last year. We can get out of his contract next year, so he could be shown the door. We need a center. Another reason why we should trade down. And then I'm dead on with your point about Odunze at 9. Even if Neighbors is there, I'd rather trade down and get an extra pick in the second round where I can take a center or another position and still come away with an Adonai Mitchell, a Brian Thomas, or you could even trade much further down and get Keon Coleman. There's a lot of bigger bodied, good receiver. This draft class is stacked with wide receivers. So I know there's a lot of Malik Neighbors fans out there, but if we're at 9 and a team wants to come up and get Neighbors, give me that second round pick. I'm just as happy with Brian Thomas Jr. in a second, maybe a second and a third, than Malik Neighbors. So that's where I'm at with that one. But I love that's the thing, guys. We're in such a great position. I think even if we take Caleb, we can still trade down at other spots. And even if we don't get a second for Justin, we'll get something for him. I mean, I don't buy this. He's not going for a 6th round pick. I don't see that. I don't think they're trading him. I think that's what people are like. Well, I don't think he's on the market yet because he's still evaluating it, and things will happen. Someone can get hurt in training camp. If we do go with Caleb, there's a lot of options here that polls can still take and still get value for Justin Fields at some point.
Yeah, I don't know. I do believe if Ryan Poles had gotten an offer that he liked for Justin Fields, me personally, I believe he would have pulled the trigger. I think, especially when you hear him say, we want to do what's best for Justin, we know the timeline of getting a quarterback trade done is before free agency, so that you avoid what exactly just happened, which is all the spots get taken up and you're the one without a seat playing musical chairs. You know what I mean? So I think if Ryan Poles had gotten some sort of offer for Fields, it would have happened. And I think I don't know. To me, it's kind of crazy that Sam Darnold, Drew Lock, Gardner Minshew, these all dudes, they all got jobs before. And again, like, I hate to say that because, like, he has a job. He's the quarterback of the Chicago Bears.
It's not before. That's the thing. It's not. They got jobs because they were on the market. Justin Fields wasn't, in my opinion. I think Poles, no matter what, he knows this decision, and he knows I'm not going to just give Justin Fields away and then be stuck in pigeonhole taking Caleb Williams, and the whole NFL knows as well. He's evaluating his options here. So I don't think he was unless someone maybe offered a first round pick.
No
then
shot.
He would have been like, okay.
They were not getting a first round pick. For
exactly. But that's the only thing he would have sold him, in my opinion. He's not going to just give him away. Someone comes in with a third round pick, he's not going to be like, yeah, here, take my starting quarterback for a third round pick.
And Alex, to take it back to what Ken said and back to what Swift said, doing right by Justin could be solidifying the line, giving him a wide receiver 2 and 3. Let's play devil's advocate now. When you listen at the tone and context of what Poles is saying, what Kevin Warren is saying, like Ken just said earlier, Ryan Bates, I don't view him as a starting center. You still got Brian Allen out there. I would literally go get him before I put Ryan Bates at center, because guess what? Let's be honest. More than likely, Tevin Jenkins and Nate Davis, I don't trust them to play a full 17 games. That's part of the thing that killed us last year when we should have had 10 wins on top of poor in-game situational play calling, like Matt Eberflus said, even though some of that was on him as well, about Luke Getsy. Because at one point in a 2-game stretch, Justin led the league in passing touchdowns after that Denver and Washington stretch, and before he got hurt against Minnesota. So again, I'm keeping all things open, and then I'm looking at the opportunities where we can plug these holes. Like the majority of the free agents we signed 7. Only 2 I'm looking at realistically as starters, and that's Kevin Byard and DeAndre Swift. The other ones, that's depth or special teams. Brett Ripien, that's the camp body. Like, I take Tyson Bagent over him. So at the end of the day, we still need some premium players to plug in to make a difference, where we can finally be competitive, be relevant, and at a minimum compete for the North with Green Bay and with Detroit, because it's still a lot of holes that we got to plug. And without us really trading down, because let's be honest, what premium player is left in free agency right now? Who's left in free agency right now that we can plug in at one of our position of needs, and that's going to make a difference?
I mean, I don't think the Bears were going to be in play for premium players, for what it's worth. I know a lot of fans are upset that they haven't made like a huge splash. I actually think the Bears have had a wonderful free agency season, I suppose is what I guess we would call it. You replace Eddie Jackson with an upgrade. You add interior line depth. Huge. You boost your special teams. You get a running back who's he's an upgrade over anything the Bears had last year, in my opinion, right? He has the elusiveness of Khalil Herbert. He has the pass catching ability of Roshan Johnson. He's like a blend of those two guys, honestly. So you got a lead dog. So you've fit 3 holes. You've improved your depth. You've done a great job. And, no, they didn't make that splash. And I know they had all this cap space, but they've kept some powder dry so that if somebody gets hurt, you can go out and get somebody. I don't think they're done adding. I still expect them maybe to add a rotational 3-tech, rotational edge rusher. But when you saw the deal that Daniil Hunter got,
when you saw the deal that Christian Wilkins got, I mean, they, in my opinion, were just never going to be players at that price.
Not for
point.
that.
Yeah. So I think, there are still options for them to make their team better. And I think they have made their team much better in free agency. And then you mentioned Brett Rippon. This is a guy who's going to be the Nate Peterman. He's going to be the coach quarterback, right? He's not going to be playing. It's going to be Tyson Bagent, who's probably QB2. But Brett Rippon, who's a guy, he has some experience with Shane Waldron. The two of them were together for a little bit of time at Seattle. So he's going to help whoever is quarterback of this team learn the language, learn the concepts. He's going to be that coach quarterback in the room that every team loves, right? I mean, I know the Bears loved both the players and the coaches. They loved Nate Peterman because he was essentially a second quarterback's coach in that room. That's really important. So adding a Brett Rippon, that's important, right? That helps your team get better. Same thing with Gerald Everett. I forgot Gerald Everett. How did I forget Gerald Everett? Now you got a legit second pass catching tight end. The Bears have not had that guy. They tried with Robert Tonyan. I think we were all expecting Robert Tonyan to be a little bit more productive than he was. Didn't happen. Oh, there it is. There's a lot of moves.
Got you.
Gerald Everett is for sure the most productive number 2 tight end. And again, a dude who has so much experience with Shane Waldron, something like 5 years of experience with Shane Waldron. That is important. So has there been the huge big name splash? No. Although I think Kevin Byard is that guy.
I think Swift is the guy, man. Swift's a splash.
Hold up.
But Swift isn't like the Josh Jacobs. He's not the Saquon Barkley, right? People are so excited about Saquon Barkley.
I think he could be as good, man. I'm a huge DeAndre Swift fan. I mean, he's not. When you go look at his Georgia tape, he was insane, man. Yeah. The guy is so elusive. His ability to just stop on a dime and change direction. Like sometimes you can't even see he does it. He's stopping this way and then he's turned back this way so fast. And and then he'll also hurdle guys, lower his shoulder. He was hurt by first the devaluation of running backs. He normally, if he would have came out 10 years ago, he would have been a first round pick, but he went in the second round because no running backs went in the first round that year. And then he got banged up a little bit early on in Detroit. They ended up paying money and they didn't want to pay 2 running backs. And I love that dude. I think he's going to be a beast in Chicago.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm also biased. His name's Swift, so I mean.
We forgot about one free agent, though.
Who's that?
Simone Biles.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that.
I don't see her on the list. I don't see her on the list.
Hey, she's on the list. Trust me. She's married to Jonathan Owens.
Poor Jonathan Owens.
Poor Jonathan Owens. I know poor Jonathan Owens.
Yeah.
He's at a couple months talking about, I didn't even know who she was. Get your ass out of here with this ass. Yeah, you didn't. You don't pay attention to nothing, then, sir. But yeah, I'm out. I'll be quiet again. You guys go on.
What? You called me out for not knowing who Simone Biles is?
No, Jonathan Owens. Okay, context. Jonathan Owens was on social media about 4 months ago, and he said that when he met Simone, basically he said he was the catch because he didn't know that she was Simone Biles as far as the GOAT of gymnastics.
Got you.
So he was like, I did her favor. It's like, get your ass out of here.
I just walked up to this cute girl at the bar. I had no idea who she was.
No
I had no
idea.
idea she's an Olympic gold medalist.
Right. She had 4 gold medals on, and she probably had 10 at the crib, but she just had the 4, but I had no idea.
Because at first,
hey, backup safety. That's an important position. I don't.
Special teams.
Elijah Hicks was okay.
I was against having another Packer.
He's a starter too. I mean, he started like what 20-some games over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
He's a good guy to have in the back as a backup.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's a good one. He's a good third free guy. Good third safety.
Mm-hmm.
Good 3 safety. Exactly, and that's important, right? Because we know Jaquan Brisker is going to get hurt at some point. Kevin Byard probably. I'm going to jinx Kevin Byard right now. Kevin Byard's probably not going to get hurt because he's never gotten hurt in 8 years. But Jaquan Brisker, that dude gets hurt not infrequently, and you're going to want a dude who can
play in a good way. He plays reckless that can hurt you.
He throws his body around. That's part of what makes him great. So now the Bears are making their whole team better with these free agent moves, even though I know Swift disagrees and says DeAndre Swift's a splash. I agree. I think DeAndre Swift was a phenomenal signing. And I think they really did make their team better. And here's the other thing. It gives them like a clearer priority in the draft. Okay, we've addressed free safety. We've addressed running back. We've addressed interior offensive line depth. So now we can really focus on wide receiver, defensive end, defensive end, a 3-tech, a center, right? Like you can now start really plugging in these holes. So again, I want to applaud Ryan Poles for the job that he's done in free agency so far.
And Ken, I want to acknowledge you said earlier about Montez Sweat, what he did for Justin Jones, how really he got Justin Jones paid, because before Montez got there, Justin Jones had 0 sacks. So Montez was a force multiplier that came in, not only made his play better, but it got him a bag. So that's what I'm saying. If we add another multiplier on that line with the secondary and the linebacking core, it could be Caleb at quarterback. It could be Justin at quarterback. Every game on that schedule next year, we will have an opportunity. Because Kansas City is not on our schedule next year, gentlemen. So we'll have an opportunity to win those games. We play the AFC South. Other than Houston, Indianapolis, they're beatable. Jacksonville is beatable. Tennessee is beatable. We play Washington, New England. I'm like, let's build this team out and take advantage of this opportunity, because I know people say, well, if you don't take Caleb this year, next year you might not get lucky, but we might not have to be lucky, because you're right. We don't know how Caleb will transition. We don't know if Justin is going to elevate to the next level, but I'd rather go with a known commodity or asset versus an unknown commodity or asset when I got the opportunity to build an overall fabric of the organization.
We're not talking no more, Caleb.
Can I hop in real quick? Because I just took a look in the chat and I saw somebody call me a clown for saying the Bears don't need a 3-tech. First of all, you're extremely rude. That's a not nice thing to say. First of all, the Bears absolutely need a 3-tech. They have 1.5 3-techs on this roster right now. They have Jervon Dexter, who Bears hope he takes a step, and Zach Pickens, who's played more nose. I mean, he kind of split. He split between nose and 3-tech, but those are your two options at 3-tech right now, because Justin Jones is gone. Andrew Billings is not playing 3-tech. He's your nose tackle. They've got some practice squad dudes who could maybe play 3-tech, but we're talking practice squad dudes. So, A, that was rude. B, yes, they do need a 3-tech, and yes, they will be adding a 3-tech.
Absolutely.
I do think it's possible we could not add a 3-tech. I think if we get an edge, we could see a lot more Jervon Dexter, Zach Pickens, and moving DeMarcus Walker into the 3-tech on passing downs. I think that's a possibility. But
they've done that. They've done that on NASCAR packages
or a 3-tech for sure. Yeah, one of those spots on the line has to be addressed. But if we add an edge, DeMarcus Walker can move inside and play some 3-tech.
They need Let me jump into this, and also don't diss my guy. Real quick.
Yeah, whoever in the chat said that, I didn't see that one. But guys, let's be respectful. Come on, please.
Hypothetically,
hard to do right now.
I think we're all consistently saying they have to have a Robin, either an edge or 3-tech. Is kind of what we're hitting on. But the thing is, they still need both. So with Swifty and Alex's point, let's hypothetically say, because I thought perhaps Justin Jones would be here and they would have the depth and you would have Dex. I saw it. I don't know if it was the same person, Rayers or somebody was like, Javon Dexter's going to have a breakout year. You hope so. And I'm not saying he won't. I'm not saying it can't happen. We've seen the talent within him. Actually, last year, we talked to the co-head coach at Florida and also the defensive line coach. And he raved, but he talked about the growth and how it's going to take for Javon to grow. But we still have to see it. They still need depth at the 3-tech. So either way it goes, either you're going to get a better player on the edge, or let's just hypothetically say you get Wonham, like they've talked to Wonham from the Vikes, right? You get him, and then you get a decent 3-tech. You may go with 2 C+ guys over there and hoping that they match up with what Montez does, or look to help get a guy as a B- and then maybe a C- as far to be behind Javon Dexter. But they need players at both of those positions is the point that I'm making.
They need to fill out the position group.
That's the thing. And that's the problem with last year, that people thought the offensive line was straight. No, we said this on Under Center and people was coming. They needed depth. If they you saw it clear as day, they were everything. I love Tevin Jenkins. First of all, the Under Center podcast is a pro Tevin Jenkins podcast, all right? But we admit he ain't making a whole season. And it's not that we don't want him to. It's just what's happened so far as everybody up here has said about Tevin Jenkins and Nate Davis, right? And I mean, we'll see about Nate Davis. Tevin Jenkins is one of ours. We'll see about what's going on with Nate. And Swifty, I'm with you. We getting out of that bad boy next year. But the point still is you're going to need something so they just can't shift the line towards Montez Sweat. All right, like that's like I mean, again, not to say he can't beat it sometimes, and we've seen that not even Flus can go against the grain as far as what he prefers and dial up heat to allow to get a guy open like Montez Sweat, but he doesn't want to send blitzes and stuff like that majority of the time. So that's where I think either, for instance, if they would have gotten Wilkins, if the price for Wilkins was lower, so let's just say it was 80 mil, right? They probably would have they could have got him around 18 or 17. They probably would have done it and then got somebody serviceable to play the edge. But it's going to be one or the other, in my opinion. Either they're going in the draft, take a hot guy that's going to play edge and then get more depth at 3 technique. But the answer as far as we all good, that's what I'm trying to say. We ain't all good when it comes to the Bears and that defensive line outside of Montez Sweat, which we know is, as Will said, a force multiplier.
Hey, Ken, just to add one more thing to your point, we're interviewing Wanham tomorrow, correct?
Nice.
I think out of those 8 sacks, 4 of them might have come against us.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that tell you about the
Bears? He plays real good against the Bears.
Hey, what does that take? How is he about to get a bag potentially with us off of having his productivity coming against us? So what does that say about the interior part of our line?
Will, how did Luke Getsy get a job? Because what did Pierce say? Man, I don't know who's playing quarterback, but they beat our ass. It's one of those like, that's the reason.
That's how. And people say, "Oh, Getsy got a job based off of what, like Pierce said on the pivot publicly. Man, when we lost to the Bears, who was a team that was in the dumps with a backup quarterback and a backup running back, that maybe put the whole team in perspective." That's how Getsy that was part of.
Let's also not forget Luke Getsy was their second choice. They were ready to ride with Cliff Kingsbury until Cliff Kingsbury bailed. Oh. So it's not like they were really thirsting for Luke Getsy. Once Cliff Kingsbury bounced, they're like, "All right, we'll take Luke." I feel like that
we hire now.
In the conversation.
Great point.
Yeah.
Excellent point, Alex.
I hear that a lot.
And we've heard a lot about the whole Cliff Kingsbury bouncing from Las Vegas to Washington and the reasoning behind that. So that in itself is going to play a role as well with the #1 draft pick. So pay attention to that too, with the whole Cliff Kingsbury leaving Las Vegas, going to Washington. And who was Caleb's offensive coordinator at USC?
He was a specialist, the offensive specialist. Yeah.
Well, offensive.
Don't ask Alex Shapiro that because he knows.
But he did. Who was his head coach who was he the head coach for at Texas Tech?
Yeah.
How about Patrick Mahomes?
Patrick Mahomes, good point.
And Case Keenum.
So you got
he's pumped out quarterbacks. One thing Cliff Kingsbury does is pump out quarterbacks.
Though. I mean, that's the thing though, is those guys put up numbers. Like even Case Keenum and the other guys, they all put up numbers.
Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield. I mean, dude works with good QBs.
Outside of Patrick Mahomes, but what did they do? They went to find Lincoln Riley to get their stuff a little bit better. Can you help me, Lincoln? Can you get me to the highest level, Lincoln?
Hey, guys, we got people in the chat that are actually making excuses for Getsy. Let's be honest. Out of the first 15 scripted plays, it was a dead carcass on the side of a highway. And that was with Justin and or Tyson Bagent in the game. Let's be honest.
True. We've been running for a while, guys. We won't keep you all night. I just have a final point here. As far as free agency goes, I agree with you guys. They've done great. The biggest thing is he's not overspending on terrible contracts. Right. I think that's the point we didn't touch on there. That's what Ryan Pace did in the past. And I know a lot of people are saying, where's the big splash signing? I'm fine without giant overpays. Do you see that Calvin Ridley just got $90 million? I'm not giving a 29-year-old receiver who was just suspended for a year or 2 years ago $90 million. No, come on. Not with the draft class of receivers like this. And I will say, I love Dravon Dexter, guys, but we do need a 3-tech in the chat, but we're going to have him pop up on the screen here. He has been working out, guys, okay? Watch out, okay? Dravon Dexter's coming, okay? Watch it. He's a little oiled up there. I'm making Ken uncomfortable. My bad, Ken.
I was like, what is the Chippendales? Is the Chippendales out here? Like, what?
Hey, I think Will.
The humidity is high down
Will
there.
took the picture, okay?
Will, you taking flicks like that?
Look, what's the over under if we draft Caleb? 60% of the fan base gonna paint their fingernails.
I'll do it. Hey, I'll put FGB on here. I'll do it. Hey, I appreciate you guys coming on the show, man. Love
Hey,
it.
look, it was a good time, man. I can't wait to have y'all again. Seriously, bro. Y'all, it was good.
Thanks so much for having us. It's fun. It's fun. It's a lot of laughs.
It is.
Although I wish I had never opened up the chat. Now that I'm looking at it, man, like, damn, you're toxic in there, folks.
See, look, on
You're
my
toxic
channel,
in
on
there.
my channel, I've banned all the toxic people. Okay, over here, this is a new podcast, so whoever's toxic out there, I'm
Y'all
gonna
are
catch you at
crazy.
some point, guys. We're
Y'all
new
are
over here, so I haven't
crazy in the
caught 'em all
chat.
yet. But hey,
Oh, real, speaking of the chat, shout
Go
out
ahead.
Dash. Dash is one of the funniest people out there. I meant to say that earlier. Shout out Dash. But yeah,
Shout
Alex,
out
Alex, just do yourself a favor. Leave it be.
You can't ever worry about what the chat says. That's something I've
You
gotten
gotta
used
be
to over
rude.
the time. But honestly, hey, Ken, this is the second time we've talked, man. Honestly, always a pleasure. And Alex, this is our first time chopping it up, man. Awesome to chop it up with you, man.
Yeah, pleasure was all mine. Thanks for having me.
I think did I talk with you once on BCP?
I was gonna say you actually
Okay,
forgot.
I thought I did. I was
you
like, wait a
have
minute.
had me on before.
I saw it was on someone else's show though. I just hopped on for a few minutes with you.
Yes.
I thought, yeah, I remember
Yes,
that.
we were on the same show.
It wasn't the same though. It wasn't the same. I only got like a minute or two. It wasn't the same.
I get to shine. And Swifty, you deserve to shine, my guy. Let know that you deserve to shine.
Hey, it's an honor, guys. Nothing but love, and give them a bear down or something, and we'll go ahead and get out of here. Appreciate everybody in the chat too, except for whoever's calling people clowns. Come on, let's be respectful. Just
Again, like I
talk,
said,
guys.
I just
Alex
looked over and I was
doesn't
like,
really care.
"Wow!"
Alex
I don't,
really
yeah,
doesn't care.
I don't,
He's
I
not
don't
that
let it get to
sensitive.
me for real. I just looked
not
over and I was
that
like,
sensitive.
"Oh, okay. Oh, it's like that."
Yeah, he's just getting a shot in before we get up out of here. He's not that
Hey, I
sensitive.
love it. We got some Fields check comments right before the end. There we go. Or we got the okay. We see you guys. Bear down, guys. We're out of here.
That's wild. That's wild. I didn't know what that was today. All right, later.
Hey, I thought it was the bean. I thought it was the bean.